In Mr. Srinivas, wanted to focus on a couple of aspects. Before that, for FY17, sir, if you could help us out with what was your SSSG number for FY17, and if you have a target for FY18.
Yeah, the same-store growth in FY17 was upwards of 20%.
Oh, wow.
And as far as FY18, the current year goes, I think we're just working on it, and we'll let the first quarter go, and then we'll talk about it.
All right, Mr. Srinivas, you added a few stores. Now the total stores are at 111. What exactly is the store expansion plan going forward as far as the retail business is concerned? An annual run rate, what can we expect in FY18 and 19?
Yeah, we have talked about adding about 20 stores a year. So this year we have already delivered on about 6 stores in this first 1.5 to 2 months odd. So I think we are well on track to achieving our set objectives as we've already laid down.
All right, Mr. Srinivas, your margins have been improving in terms of your exposure to the retail business as well, or their margins are relatively higher. So if you could tell us, I think last year, retail contributed close to around 40% of your revenues. Now for FY18, what is the the target? And also in terms of margins, what's the trajectory going ahead? And can you do an EBITDA number, operating profit of around what, 160 odd crores? Is that possible?
I wouldn't like to make conjectures at this point of time, but yes, our retail business has contributed. It has been steadily growing in terms of the share of the total revenues. So last year it was around 43%.
Okay.
This year we hope it will cross the 50% mark. That's what we're targeting at.
Okay.
And the margin profile is improving, as it's evident in the last couple of years.
All right, 50% mark is what you're expecting. So at that point in time, what exactly can we expect from the margins? Because clearly the retail business is doing close to double-digit margins. So overall margins, can they improve by about 200 basis points?
We have been steadily growing on the margin front, so I hope that we will continue. I'm very confident that we'll continue to do better.
All right, Mr. Srinivas, last year you did around 2,300 crores approximately on the top line. What kind of a revenue growth number are we looking at for this year?
We have been looking, in the last year we did grow by about 17-18%. So I hope that we will continue on the same trajectory.
All right. So we can work with revenues. If you're going to go by around 17%, we should be at around 2,600 crores, if I go with these numbers. And in terms of margin expansion, at least we can work with what, a 100 basis points margin expansion? Is that possible on a conservative side?
We are working towards it. Let's see.
All right, we tried hard to get you to give us 1 or 2 pointers for the future going forward. But, Mr. Srinivas, you have 2 parts of your business. There is a large focus on the retail part of the business, which is giving you good margins. What about the second part? Are you planning to demerge it, get it out, and derive most of the value from this retail part?
So as of now, we don't have any such plans.
But in future, you wouldn't be...
We do believe that it is an integral part of the business. But we do have, we have been talking about, which we have stated earlier also, that as part of the channel business will certainly is degrowing, and we continue to do that. As far as the enterprise business, we see it very well linked with our current businesses, so we don't see any...
So in future, you wouldn't shy away from hiving it off if the opportunity arises, right?
These are conjectures, so it's too early for me to make comments on these hypotheses. All
right, Mr. Srinivas, you've been a big wealth creator for a lot of investors. We just have that screen that should come up back for you on the screen. In fact, the graph will tell you that the stock is up more than 75%. Now, people want to know, you've raised very small money from the IPO. Do you require any further capex going ahead? If you could help us out with that. Any funding requirements? Will you be looking to raise some money?
Not in the near future. We are barely 2 months, a quarter, barely 3 months since the IPO has happened, or even less than that. So I think immediately there would be no requirement to raise money for capex.
All right.
All right, Mr. Srinivas, the one macro question that is on everyone's head right now is GST. A lot of the building product companies come to us and say that GST will be a big trigger. So do you expect sales to grow exponentially post GST? And what kind of destocking or uncertainty do you expect in the first half as GST comes by?
I think there's a lot of, honestly, the numerous tax authorities in various states have been conducting fair amount of sort of get to know GST with various stakeholders, the various federations, various committees, various traders, manufacturers, etc. So fair amount of clarity in terms of the taxation structures emerging, the kind of, what is really going to happen in terms of the billing and the kind of, all that. There is some amount of clarity that is emerging. But as usual, I mean, once we step into the entire arena, I think there would still be some amount of clarifications. And I'm sure in about 6 months, we should be pretty much, I think there'll be clarity. But having said that, I do see that GST is very positive for the organized sector.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Srinivas, thanks so much.